So, before I get into the main subject, I think it's best for me to take a step back and recap some of the things that I've been covering over the years regarding Intel's graphics Odyssey. This is something that I used to do about, every third DG2 video as a way to just remind everyone watching where we came from, where I came from, where my overall opinions and assessments have come from, because I think with how negative or positive some reports can be, people forget what I've been saying the whole time. For example, almost 2 years ago in the summer of 2020, I reported first that Intel would be launching Alchemist on TSMC 6nm. This was when everyone else was still talking about Intel 10nm for Alchemist. It actually didn't even have the Alchemist name yet. And it's funny to look back on this slide. DG3, which is Battlemage, was apparently supposed to come out at the end of this year, 2022. I've already forgotten that. And it's another good reminder. You see, even back then, I felt compelled to put things like planned, to put these disclaimers on roadmaps that these were what Intel was planning, that I couldn't promise things were going to live up to expectations or to what Intel really wanted to do, because I had already watched DG2's design rapidly change over the course of a couple years from some 4-tile design to a 2-tile design to a 1-tile design. It was always problematic and full of issues, but I reported on it because their ambitions were real. They really wanted something big. And indeed, what started as a almost pseudo RDNA 3 competitor years ago eventually ended up as something much more traditional. 1 month after that, the next 2 years of graphics video, I had another video come out that detailed what has become the final overall specs. It was 1-tile, it was on 6nm, it had 512 execution units, and they were going to attempt to get around a 3070 Ti. And again, I say attempt. And again, remember, this was a leak that happened back before we knew what the die looked like, the die size, before Raja Koduri confirmed a die size and level of execution units that totally backs up the performance goals Intel was trying to hit years ago. This is important for me to bring up because my sources have proven correct on this. Sources that I still use to this day for covering Alchemist time and time again. Raja Koduri wanted to launch a 3070 Ti competitor back then, and they had some higher clocked models in 3D Mark versions getting around there, which recent videos have shown that if you push Alchemist very hard, you can get its clock speeds much higher than what's stock. It's because they were always intending to launch some higher clocked top model that would compete with top GA104 cards, but they're deciding not to release them because, well, Alchemist is full of issues that would basically hamstring any attempt to compete higher than what they're going for anyways, which, yeah, it sucks. But this outcome isn't entirely surprising. If you've paid attention to the negative disclaimers that I always put there next to the positive hopes, shall we say, you would know that this thing was probably not always going to pan out as well as the top projections wanted it to. Let's be clear. It would have been very easy. The person who got massive exclusives like first pictures of Alchemist cards in labs to just hype this thing up to the moon constantly and never say a bad thing. But there's always been two camps. A camp that thinks they can do it, that they can have the second generation, which DG2 is the second generation. DG1 was really the beta test for drivers. That was supposed to fix the drivers. There was always this big hope that DG2 could compete in the high end by the end of 2021. There was always this other camp that thought it may never come out. And what I wanted to say in today's video is the reality is going to be in the middle of these outcomes. And I guess it is, because the final decision hasn't been made yet. But if we were to go right in between what the two camps think, one side saying it's going to be a high-end competitor, it's going to be awesome, one side saying it will never come out, I guess it's not a surprise that the middle of that might be that Intel may cancel ARC before Battlemage is even launched. And that's what this video is predominantly about. But again, this decision has not been made yet, but there's much more to this story than just saying Intel's considering not launching something. You see, I already alluded to the horrible things I was hearing last week. There's been other people in Intel marketing that have just been misrepresenting what's going on with Alchemist and really lying about what the initial lineup was and the readiness of Alchemist. And I want the people who do lie at Intel to know a lot of your employees don't like that, and they've been more open with me over the past week because of it. I know what your roadmaps have. I know when Alchemist will actually be ready, and I know what high-end SKUs you are actually planning to launch. And this is just bad PR. Learn to lose gracefully. I don't think they have learned that lesson yet, though, and so I'm going to take my time with this next video because I just feel like, at least from some people at Intel, consumers are being lied to. All the way back then, I already had a pretty full picture of some bad stuff, and I could have rushed out some less than 10-minute video that was just like, it may never come out, and then, smoke bomb, leave. But it's actually pretty complicated, and I think you guys deserve to know what's really going on behind the scenes, because it's one thing to just tell people Battlemage may be canceled. It's another to tell you what you may want to worry about if you buy Alchemist, and really just what's going on between several groups inside Intel. That is the full story, and I believe you deserve to hear it, and that is why I've taken my time to give you a comprehensive story that is going to show new roadmaps from within Intel proving that they are lying to you. I'm not just going to say something. I have proof they're lying. But first, an ad from a sponsor.
You'll see that the Intel ARC A750 performs great, beating other GPUs in the market today in the same segment. Just on this specific set of games, that translates into up to 17% better frame rates.
Well, wait, is it stronger than the 3060 or just stronger in that specific set of games? Gosh, Reese, I want to read this book, but deciphering all of Intel's BS is taking so much time. Oh, good idea. I'll use Blinkist. This piece of content is brought to you by Blinkist. Blinkist is an app that helps you discover and understand powerful ideas from books and podcasts in as little time as possible. It widens your knowledge and allows you to efficiently discover the world around you, like The Art of Stopping Time by Pedram Shojai. This book about time management is extra useful to me now that I can have it condensed and read to me in just 16 minutes. And that isn't the only one. Blinkist has condensed 5,000 titles in 27 different categories into shortcasts and blinks. Find what you need by clicking my special link below to get a 7-day trial and 25% off a premium membership. Clicking on this link and signing up for free helps support the channel, and it gets you a great deal on a great app. Try Blinkist today. Now that ad actually touched on what I'm going to talk about next, and you should support sponsors of independent coverage like this, I believe. But anyways, Intel's going on this media tour right now. A lot of you have probably been screaming, well, wait a second. They're going on a bunch of tech channels. They're hyping up Alchemist, and yeah, they're saying not all games will be perfectly optimized, but Alchemist has light drivers that just need more work. And well, not everything will perform at tier 1 optimizations. We're going to price our cards like tier 3.
And our lightweight driver is very good at speaking directly to the GPU hardware in DX12 and Vulkan, making full use of its capabilities. By the way, the water in this insulated bottle is both cold and refreshing.
Let's talk about the 3-tier strategy that Intel is planning to use then to beat this chicken and egg into a delicious omelet.
At what we're calling Tier 1, we're going to kill everyone in price to performance. And in these Tier 1 titles that work really well on ARC, we've already revealed some of them.
Tier 1, huh? Well, Igor found that Control, a game that Intel says is on the Tier 1 list, has lost a lot of performance in lower resolutions to the point that the minimum frame rates just seem to be capped at around 80 Hertz, even with much higher clocks, just not giving you anything extra. And he's extensively covered the frame variance issues at all frame rates. Why do you think that Intel has been focusing on 90 frames per second competitive gaming? The standard is above 120. Guys, it's because, as Igor has already started to find, and from what I'm hearing behind the scenes, there's almost certainly a fundamental hardware flaw in the scheduler of Alchemist. Can they make things better? Can there be mitigations in drivers that they will improve over time? Yes. But it's never going to be perfect. It's already having problems getting above 90 frames per second consistently at super low resolutions with a weak card. How are they going to get a high-end card to game above 144 Hertz? The worry behind the scenes is that they just can't. You see, what I believe everyone is watching right now, and again, remember, I've covered extensively in previous leaks that Intel manufactured their cards around January through March of this year. They have the high-end Alchemist die sitting in a warehouse waiting to be packaged. And then all of a sudden, this media tour came just out of nowhere. They missed their Q1 launch, and yet they are just rushing out there to talk to everybody. It's because they thought they'd be able to fix the drivers by now, and they realized probably around May or June that they're never going to perfectly fix these drivers, and so they got to axe the top model and launch what they can right now. And that's why the messaging is all over the place, inconsistent and conflicting with what they've already said publicly, and just, well, rubbing a lot of people within Intel that aren't in the graphics division the wrong way. Which, this brings me to another thing a lot of people probably haven't noticed. Ryan and Tom, going around to all these tech channels, they're actually part of a marketing group within the graphics division itself, not part of the main Intel marketing wing. A lot of people within the main Intel marketing wing and within, well, just the rest of Intel are starting to notice that what the graphics division is communicating right now is not what the division is communicating internally inside of Intel. And you want to know what they're communicating right now internally? I have proof. Like I said a week ago, the lies being spread publicly have pissed off a lot of people working with Intel and within Intel. And I have now painstakingly, through editing to make sure what I show is safe, gotten the okay to show you guys what's actually being shown to everyone else from within Intel. What you're looking at here is a presentation given about a month ago from the Intel Graphics Group to other Intel groups. Remember, these groups give presentations to each other. It's a company of over 120,000 employees. Anyways, about a month ago, this was given to other Intel groups and to some of Intel's partners, talking about when they can expect dedicated ARC graphics cards to launch. And pay attention to the details here. SKU 6 is the A380, SKU 1 is the A770, and so on. These were supposed to start launching to OEMs and system integrators at the end of July, and then in channel to AIBs on Newegg, for the layman, mid-August. And yet here we are, end of July, and we've seen the A380 pop up somewhere, but at least in the US, we're not seeing these other things pop up in OEMs at all. And for months now, when I've asked AIBs what's going on, when are you going to have your Alchemist cards ready? Which cards? What's the performance? I've gotten nothing back from Confusion up until this day. Let me show you some quotes. Basically, it's the same story, whether it's Asus, MSI. I can say these names because they come from every AIB, at least 5 guys. Besides maybe that one AIB launching with select A380s overseas, no AIB that sells to the West has any idea what is going on. And in fact, this is backed up by a slide I want to show you now, where as recent as a few weeks ago, Intel was still saying TBC, to be confirmed, when they would have a shelf date for AIB Alchemist A380 or A750 graphics cards. The A380 is already outside of the West, and yet when I talk to someone at Asus, they have no idea what to do. They have a rough idea of what the specs of their card will be, but the final BOM, the final design, isn't finished as of a couple weeks ago. That slide that I'm saying I saw a month ago, it's still being shown by the Intel group. People still don't know when they're going to launch these cards. And I don't know if you guys know this, but it doesn't take a week to finalize a design, get the coolers, boxes, and launch. And again, this was not what Intel was planning even a few weeks ago. Here's another slide being shared from within the company from a month ago with them saying that SKU, remember those? SKU 1, 2, 3, and 6 would have a global, not just outside the West, a global launch to OEMs and system integrators in July. July is over. It has not happened. You're not buying Dell PCs with A770s right now, are you? Proof that Intel has missed their target. And it gets even weirder. Recent slides that are being shown, here's a part of one of them, are saying things like an ARC story, and it specifically says not launch in September. So let's recap what I'm trying to convey with these internal slides that I've finally been given permission to share. A month ago, Intel was saying that they would be launching all SKUs to OEMs by the end of July. End of July is here. And then they were also saying that AIBs would have models ready in middle of August at least. And yet, AIBs still don't even know what the final BOM and design is going to be for their cards, for any of them, let alone an entire lineup. And now, Intel is showing off slides after just showing slides saying they would be ready by now. Now they're showing slides saying that they're going to have an ARC story in September. I don't know what that means. Intel's partners don't know what that means. The top brass, the executives at the top of Intel, don't know what that means, and they are getting fed up with all of the shenanigans. And if you needed any more proof that this is complete chaos, that sweepstakes that Intel had where they were going to give out Alchemist limited edition cards to winners, they've been telling the people that won the sweepstakes that they don't know when they'll get the card. Well, those people have been complaining constantly, and that if they want, they can take a cash prize, otherwise TBD when you'll get an Alchemist card. And this is something Video Cards has touched on, but I don't think enough people have talked about, because this proves it. They don't even know when their sweepstakes winners are going to get limited edition cards, and yet you have a marketing group from within the graphics division going on tech channels saying this thing's ready. How is this ready? Where are the limited edition cards? Why are you saying there's a story in September, Ryan? What's going on? And it's starting to catch up with the graphics division. That's what's going on. The top executives at Intel are not happy. Just today, after a shockingly bad earnings report from Intel, Pat Gelsinger made it clear that he knows they need to do better, and that it's not just shortages or inflation or weakening demand, that it's execution, that they have execution problems and that they need to fix them. And these things, they're starting to see it themselves. Who okayed Ryan to go and say these weird things at Linus Tech Tips when we don't have the card ready at all? And behind the scenes, the executives are being told these cards might not be ready until the end of September, and yet you're telling people it'll be ready soon publicly? Pat doesn't like this line. Other executives within Intel don't like the line. And so, yeah, let me get to the exact quotes. There are discussions going on, serious discussions regarding the cancellation of dedicated desktop ARC cards. Data center stays for now, but the dedicated gaming card line may be canceled before Celestial even gets a chance. And another source that couldn't say much about the high-level part of it, but could say the mid-level, said that things were just not good, that there's really no good news coming out of the graphics division right now, and that if they do cancel Battlemage, that really the graphics division and the marketing group within that graphics division that's making the rounds right now is basically operating independently from the rest of Intel, and these people will keep hyping up ARC until that decision is actually made. Basically, it's going to be nothing but butterflies and rainbows from the graphics division until it's canceled, if it does get canceled. It's going to feel like a 90-degree turn. And, okay, I actually have two other bits of information that I think round out the full picture of what's going on with the ARC group. So, I also have another one of my sources telling me that there seems to be a plan for a potential refresh of Alchemist cards, mostly mobile, but possibly some desktop, coming out the first half of 2023. And then at the same time, I'm also hearing from another source that Battlemage is getting some issues right now, and they're trying to fix them as fast as possible. So let's put everything together now, because I want to make it clear what the overall opinion of mine is on what's going on. All right, so I know that Intel manufactured the Alchemist dies they'll be selling this summer, hopefully, if they sell them this summer, between January and March. And then they were just oddly quiet, and we kept waiting, and we kept waiting. And then, out of nowhere, they just came out and told everybody it's coming out soon, but it's still not out. There's still tons of issues, and different groups within Intel feel like they've been taken off guard. Indeed, slides I've shown you today proves that what Intel is saying behind the scenes from their graphics division is different from what they are saying publicly to various tech channels, and that right now, the top brass at Intel is considering if they are being taken for a ride from one of their divisions, and if they need to cancel this whole thing, while other people are working on trying to fix Alchemist and possibly retape out a version of Alchemist with fixes to the hardware flaws, and also they're trying to fix Battlemage now, which is having tons of Alchemist-like issues out of nowhere. So think about it. What I believe is going on at Alchemist is they thought late last year that it was going to be fixable with drivers, and that by quarter one or the end of quarter one, that they would have the drivers done and they would be able to do at least a paper launch of Alchemist and a full launch in quarter two. But here we are in quarter three. They found out, I believe, in the first half of this year that there just seems to be a fundamental hardware flaw that's going to require some adjustments to the silicon that hopefully they can get out at the beginning of 2023. But until then, they told shareholders they're going to launch Alchemist, in quarter 2, quarter 3. So they just needed to get whatever they manufacture now out now and just launch it as lower end cards than they initially intended. Will they try to get silicon fixes in Alchemist? Will they try to put out the fires that are now popping up with Battlemage? And I think the top brass at Intel is doing an evaluation of everything going on right now to decide if any of this work is really worth it, if they should just can Battlemage, if they should can the progress. And so basically, I think what we're going to see is a very, very stressful but important 6 months for the graphics division at Intel. I believe they're going to try to prove that they fixed the hardware flaws in Alchemist, that Battlemage is back on track by the time the top execs at Intel finish a report on if they should just cancel the dedicated lineup itself. And so, yeah, that's the full story. And look, I'm going to be honest. I had some hesitation with running the story because, well, frankly, I know it's not what people want to hear. But the fact of the matter is it's the truth, and I just feel like you guys deserve to know it and deserve to know the full truth about what's going on behind the scenes. This isn't just something you can squeeze out in like a 8-minute video and say, oh, it might happen, I hope it doesn't. You deserve to know that actually I have proof that Intel's graphics division is lying to the rest of Intel and that there is a internal civil war over if they should cancel it, that this is real. I know some people just want good news. They want to be told that Lovelace will triple ampere performance, even though I've been telling you guys the whole time and caught a lot of shit for downplaying it, telling you guys the whole time that it was really aiming to be like more roughly doubling performance. And now a bunch of Twitter leakers and YouTube leakers are reversing all of their performance estimates for RDNA 3 and Lovelace to basically what I've been saying the whole time. And I just hope for some of you that the truth matters, because it matters to me, and I think it matters to you so you don't get disappointed when Lovelace isn't triple the performance of Ampere, and you save yourself the trouble of possibly buying Alchemist, being lied to by marketing within Intel's graphics division, saying this is all going to be great, it's all going to work out, we're going to fix the drivers. The drivers, it may be a hardware flaw, it may be unfixable. You may never get performance that consistently hits high frame rates in many titles forever, and then there's like a 50-50 chance that Intel may cancel it, and then a year from now, you're just not getting any new drivers for Alchemist either, and you just lost a bunch of money. It'd be easy for the person that got information first, that got pictures of Alchemist first, to just hype it up, hype it up, hype it up. I'm sure I'd get a bunch of clicks, and then people will just forget it if I got it wrong. But the truth matters, and you deserve to know the truth, the full truth. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It actually bumped another video I was hoping to do this week about some pretty controversial stuff from NVIDIA and AMD as well. There's going to be a lot of just bombshell things going on during the turbulent 2022 that we find ourselves living in. So, well, if you did enjoy this video, please like it, please share this independent coverage, and, subscribe to Moore's Law is Dead and ring the bell button. And if you have extra money, please consider supporting Moore's Law is Dead on Patreon. That stability of knowing there's people there, no matter what's run, no matter if it gets a bunch of views, that are always there supporting me every month. That's what really makes this coverage possible. And if you support me, you'll get exclusive podcasts like Die Shrink. We have one coming up now, looking back at previous NVIDIA generations with the community, ranking them based on what we thought was most impressive. As we look towards Lovelace, we'll be doing that with AMD cards as well. And of course, you can submit reader mail to standard Broken Silicon episodes, ask us questions, talk with me about this video after it comes out in the Discord. We can't do this without our patrons. If you have the extra money, please support us. But then again, at the end of the day, as always, thank you just for watching.